The very first video that I posted on this channel was about this book here, The Artist's Way. Specifically, it was about morning pages, which is an exercise in The Artist's Way. In this book, Julia Cameron asks us to write 3 pages every morning, longhand, on paper. This kind of free writing is a cornerstone of my creative practice. I was doing it before I ever called it morning pages. I was doing it before I ever read this book. I was just writing in a notebook. And I have been doing that for a very long time. The first book that I call my notebook was actually a lock and key diary that I got, I think it was for my 9th birthday, but it might have been my 8th. When you hear the word diary, this is probably exactly what you're picturing. Something small that has a lock and a key. Mine, I remember, had colored paper. It was very cool. And in this, I would write everything. This was my classic diary. I've continued that practice ever since. Not every day, but ever since. And I still have almost all of those notebooks. I don't have that original diary, which makes me sad sometimes. But also, the kind of writing that you do in a diary is very ephemeral. It's okay if it disappears because the writing was the purpose. And that's the part that's important. Not the documentation, not keeping it forever, but the doing of it. But still, I like to keep these notebooks. And I call them notebooks. I don't call them journals or planners or diaries. I call them notebooks. And the reason that I call them notebooks is because I write everything. I write everything in those books. Nothing doesn't belong in that book. And it's the only way that I've been able to keep that practice. Because if I had one notebook for my schedule and one notebook for my grocery lists and one notebook for my diary thoughts, I would never keep up with all of that. I have one notebook. That's it. You can tell because the very first one that I have in my collection, this is December 2000, is my Christmas list. The thing on this first page is my Christmas list. We have toque with ear flaps. Still don't have one of those. Some of this stuff is crossed off because I got it. So A Density of Souls by Christopher Rice. Bought it, never actually read it. My mom's a really big Anne Rice fan, so I read them because they were in my house, but they never really got me. The Informers by Bret Easton Ellis. Not crossed off, but I did buy it. I have read that one. Generation X by Douglas Copeland, also on my shelves back there. Dandy Warhol's 13 Tales from Urban Bohemia. Absolute banger of an album. This one, 25 years old. Does not have a cover anymore, but this is what the cover looked like. That is plastered with XFM stickers, which was the alternative rock radio station. For a long time, this is what my notebooks looked like. The exact same one, the spiral bound. I like a spiral bound notebook because you could turn it all the way around. And I would write on the bus a lot. So, on my knee. I would always decorate these covers. So this one says, "The geeks shall inherit the earth." This is a picture of Sloan, which is a band that I still love. I was the kind of kid that tore pictures out of magazines and put them up on my wall. So this was like taking my bedroom wall with me everywhere that I go. So a lot of people, when they think about having a notebook practice, when they think about journaling for 25 years, they imagine having a bookshelf of the exact same book. They imagine all of those perfect spines nicely labeled. I don't have that. I have 2 boxes, actually. I have one of those under the bed boxes from IKEA, packed full. I was actually going to pull it out and show you everything and like dig through it for this video, but it turns out that that box is too full and I can't move it. Partly because my bedroom has carpet and like you can't slide it on the carpet. I have all kinds of notebooks, literally everything. Because of course I started when I was a teenager. I didn't have that much money. I just bought books at the dollar store. People find out that you're a writer, they buy you notebooks whether you like them or not. I used to always get notebooks and pens in my Christmas stocking. And then one year I said, oh, I didn't get a pen. And my mom said, yeah, I'm not buying you pens anymore because you have too many opinions. Despite this, I always wished that I used the exact same notebook. I still have, I mean, I have that picture in my head too, right? Of that perfect shelf. My notebooks don't fit on a shelf because they are all different sizes. Every once in a while we get a fixation. When I was digging through that box, I found all of these steno notebooks. I bought like a 12-pack from Staples. I completely forgot that this was the thing that I did for a while, because steno notebooks are divided in half like this. They have a margin line down the middle. I was obsessed with William Carlos Williams during the summer of 2007. I actually read everything I could about him in my university library. The way that he wrote his poetry is on the back of his prescription pads, which were long and skinny. So that's one of the reasons why some of his poetry looks like that. That's why I bought steno notebooks, so I could be like William Carlos Williams. They were also cheap. Speaking of cheap notebooks, a lot of these ones. This is Olympics 2010 here in Vancouver. Almost positive these notebooks came from IKEA. Again, coming in a big pack. This is 2008. I would love to show you some pages inside, but sometimes I get a little worried about what's in here. Here's a plan for a zine. A zine where every issue is one fully realized story, kind of a choose your own adventure. The thing I love about these tiny little notebooks though, I say tiny, but it's not tiny in this sense, it's tiny in this sense, right? Not a lot of pages in here. The foreword here is written by Natalie Goldberg. Natalie Goldberg is the writing teacher that I wish to emulate the most. She wrote a book called Writing Down the Bones, which is these short vignettes about her writing life. She challenges herself to write in the cheapest notebooks possible and to fill one every single month. Very easy to fill a notebook that looks like this in a month. Not so easy to fill something that looks like this in a month. I stamp all of my notebooks. I have this little date stamp. For a while I was even numbering my notebooks. This is number 27. September 5th, 2008 to October 19th, 2008. So very close to a month. Just like a week or so off. Good job, past Jess. Korean stationery. I have so many of these notebooks. Again, the spiral bound. I really love the spiral bound. Oh, you know what this notebook is? 2005. This notebook is my 100 things. The challenge was 100 things in 1,001 days. That's what it was. I remember this challenge from the internet. I got 40. 40 out of 100 isn't bad. 2007, I was, how old was I? 2007, I was 25. Bind a 200-page sketchbook. Find the perfect pen. The perfect pen is the Zebra Sarasa. Take a yoga class. I did do that. And then I became a yoga teacher. I did the whole certification. Eat at the Ovaltine Cafe. Oh my gosh. There is an episode of The X-Files where Mulder is sadly eating at the Ovaltine Cafe and Scully comes to see him. Bake bread by hand. Oh my gosh. And at the back, I've got my life list. Watch a shuttle launch at Cape Canaveral. Travel the Atlantic by boat. Learn to fly. Skate the Rideau Canal. I'm going to have to do that soon because I don't think that you've been able to skate it the last couple of years. It hasn't been cold enough. Work in Antarctica. I don't think that would be good for my mental health, but it would be fun. This one is university. There's my class schedule. That is poli-sci, French lab, and linguistics. Speaking of university, during those years, I chose this as my regular planner. I love this book. This is a Blue Line 1-page-a-day planner. I loved using this, and I bought this quite a few years in a row. Oh my gosh, here's July. I am writing down who won the stages of the Tour de France. July 9th, 2008, Mark Cavendish won the stage. And I finished reading Into the Wild by Jon Krakauer. This is exactly why I love planners and why I keep trying. Vanishing City. That's my zine. Vanishing City goes up, which means I probably posted it on Etsy. June 13th, 2008. That's like my first publication. That's amazing. Here is the 2018 version, so you can see I made it look very nice. Maybe I should go back to something like this. I wonder if Muji has something like this. And then we have just the most random notebooks. So this one is definitely a gift. Curious George was like my stuffed animal when I was a little kid. And I lost it when I was very young, probably like 4. So this was definitely a gift. I love getting weird little notebooks. I don't like writing in them though. As much as I wish that I could use like a pocket notebook like this. This is 2016. Oh, that is a library hold notice there. As much as I wish I could use these tiny little notebooks, they don't work for morning pages for me. They work for lists. I love using them for lists, but I just can't write. I need something big. I need to just scrawl. So I bought this one in Halifax. I lived there in 2011. I always aspire to use sketchbooks. I always wish I could use sketchbooks. Ooh, damn. We got a Joe Megan yellow there. I also draw. I do love to draw. And one of the things that I love to draw is life drawing. So I do like life drawing classes a lot. Ooh, so here's a little bit of Halifax, or a little bit of Nova Scotia. That is Truro, and I went on a train trip. To Truro. They're not great for writing for me. So like brainstorming, big lists, yes. So 2012, that is some Halifax architecture. A lot of these, you can find these in my zines. I actually made a zine all about the art gallery. One of these days, I'll scan this. One of these days. So sketchbooks are great, but not as an everyday book. For an everyday notebook, I need something that looks more like this. Yeah, you know what? This one, my friend actually gave me this one when I was in Los Angeles. And I just started writing in it right then. It's Skylight Books. This is P22, the mountain lion that used to live in Griffith Park. Unfortunately, it died a couple years ago. So yeah, this has got to be, 2021? 22, yes. I'm going to try to find a page I can show you. There we go. There's just a random. That's what I write. It's just stream of consciousness. It's just what I'm thinking at that moment. It's just getting that words out of your head. But when I look back on it now, it's like, that's what I was doing. That's what I was thinking. I mean, it was only 2023, but I'm a different person now. One of the reasons I wish that I loved these notebooks is field notes. Both of these are from XOXO, the festival in Portland. The thing that these are good for, though, is lists. Childhood books I loved. Books that I'm reading right then. Perfect Storm by Sebastian Junger. Finally read it. At the back, this is just things that I love. I started this list in 2001 when I took my bus trip across Canada when I was 19. And back then I had a big like 3-subject notebook, 8.5 by 11, spiral bound, classic school notebook. And I took that across Canada on a Greyhound bus. And I just wrote. I probably still have that notebook too, somewhere in that box under the bed. I don't look at them often, but I do look back at them. And I do love to read those notes from that person that I used to be. And that person that I still kind of want to be. She had these big dreams and she had some good ideas that I still haven't realized. Part of my creative practice is reaching back through the past and pulling those ideas forward and saying, hey, you know what? That was a good one. Let's do it now. Now that I'm able, now that I know more, now that we have the technology to make it happen. That's why I hang on to all of these notebooks. That's why you should keep a notebook too. Pick up a notebook and just start to fill it today. Write the date so you remember too, because you definitely won't remember. And if you don't know what to write, start there. Write down, I don't know what to write, but, and then just keep going. That practice has served me well. Here's my notebook today. I don't even know what number it is. I stopped counting them a long, long time ago. This is an Apple notebook. I got it when I did the training to work in the store. February 13th, 2025, 9:04 this morning, I wrote, I can still do this. I'm in my PJs with coffee and YouTube, but if I can shower and dress by 9:30, then set up and film until 10:30, then I can leave the house at 11 and still make my dentist appointment at 1. I want to make this video today. And I did. And maybe writing it down is the thing that made it happen.